What is going on, shrimp keepers? This is Rob with flipaquatics.com, and today we are talking about something really fun. We're actually going to talk about the 3 most popular shrimp in 2020 and what that looks like. And today I'm in the pond room to start, so that gives you a little hint of what's to come, and I'm excited to drop this video. So let's get right into it. So last week we actually touched on this setup right here. These are our new mono ponds, and the reason we converted these is so we could free up all these ponds for different shrimp. These ponds are specifically for a mono shrimp, and we can actually hold 1,000 shrimp, probably even more in these ponds. And so this is our most popular shrimp out of all the shrimp that we sell. A mono shrimp, actually it might be pretty close with number 2. A mono shrimp are honestly one of the most amazing algae eaters out there. They really scavenge anything. You can see in this tank we have 3 sponge filters, and they are just absolutely littered with a mono shrimp. And so the cool thing about these guys is they're actually very hardy, which makes them really easy to keep. They can pretty much go in any parameters as far as freshwater goes, soft water, hard water. They're really good algae eaters. And the really cool thing about them is they can hold their own when it comes to other fish. So people always ask, what shrimp can I keep with fish? A mono shrimp are definitely one of the greatest options for you. They're gonna do a lot in your tank. They're gonna eat algae, they're gonna eat leftover food, they're gonna keep your plants nice and cleaned off by keeping the detritus off them. And above all else, they can live with most fish, but pretty much any fish that can fit them in their mouth will try to fit them in their mouth. But a mono shrimp get to about 3 inches at their biggest, maybe a little bit smaller than that. And so these guys are just a great option for pretty much any aquarium, especially a planet aquarium. This is our most popular shrimp in 2020. Now, if you guys are actually looking to keep a mono shrimp in your aquarium, it's always good to check with the person you're getting them from, just to understand the parameters that they're in. And so we keep just a very basic setup. We have 3 sponge filters. We have this little ball in there, which is ground up Indian almond leaves, guava leaves, and mulberry leaves. And we just put that in there for some natural antioxidants into the water, some tannins into the water, and then just a natural food source that grows biofilm on it and things like that. But our water is fairly soft here. I want to say the TDS is about 150. GH is about, I would say 6 to 8. And then KH is half of that. And so we just use straight tap water for these guys. Just because they are so hardy. So as long as your water parameters are that or a little bit harder, these guys are going to do really well for you. And again, they're super hardy shrimp, so they can adjust to any parameters. Just make sure to do it slow and over a period of time. So drip acclimation is always important. While we're on the topic of acclimation, we do have a whole video that I will link down below about how to acclimate properly and a couple different methods. But we do sell these on our website, which are just real basic acclimation kits. Basically comes with a clamp to clamp it to your tank. The airline goes into your tank. It has a valve on the opposite end, and you will put the shrimp into a bucket or a container and just do about 1 drip every second until there's about double the amount of water that you started with. And that is the best way to drip acclimate. So if you're getting shrimp and they're going into different parameters, it's always good to acclimate. You could do it in a 5-gallon bucket and do it overnight real slow. And again, I have a lot of tips and tricks in the video that I'll link down below, so definitely check that out. But just wanted to show this off if I'm talking about drip acclimation. Just a real easy kit to get you started. Next up, I'm sure you guessed it, we have the cherry shrimp. Cherry shrimp are just that, beginner, entry level kind of, you're just getting into shrimp. Let's try some easy and cheap. Cherry shrimp are the way to go. So these guys are pretty hardy. They're definitely not as hardy as a mono shrimp. A mono shrimp are nearly bulletproof. But these guys are still just a really, really good shrimp. Beautiful color. They contrast really well in a planet aquarium. And they are fairly easy to keep. Although, with all Neocaridina, whenever you're getting them in, there's a chance that you're going to lose some of them. So, for example, when you order a 5-pack from us, we send 6. When you order a 10-pack, we send 12. We always want to include some extras just in case you have some issues. But these guys are just a beautiful, beautiful shrimp. One thing we do to really make sure that these guys are healthy is we quarantine them for a month. So you can see we got these guys in on 6/10, and we just released them for sale. This week was the first week that we were actually selling them or actually shipping them. So these guys sat for a solid month before we even sent them out. So we always like to make sure they're healthy, they're disease free. All the parasites are, you know, taken care of if they do come with any. I'm trying to get it to focus on this one big girl, but it's just not happening. You can definitely see me in the background. But these, oh, it just focused. There we go, kind of. But these guys are just really pretty. And again, just a really good entry-level shrimp that a lot of people really enjoy. So definitely one of the most popular shrimp in 2020. So these guys aren't on the list as the most popular, but I was just walking by their tank, and these are blue velvets, and my God, like, I just think these guys are so amazing. So little bonus for you guys. Again, you got the glare, so hello to you guys. But these guys are just an absolute stunning shrimp. I might have to come down here and get a little B-roll of them. But just a really pretty shrimp. Hey, that's a pretty good picture right there. Just a really pretty shrimp. These were actually ones that, this was one of the first Neocardinas that I've ever kept. And so it's really cool to actually be selling them now. And they just have a really cool, beautiful blue color to them, kind of transparent. And just a really, really pretty shrimp. So I was just walking by. I haven't looked in this tank in a while. I don't have the luxury to be able to look in the tanks all the time, but this time I was walking by and I thought they just looked really pretty, so I want to show those. So last but definitely not least, the third most popular shrimp are definitely these guys. These are crystal reds. Now, as far as hardiness, these guys are actually extremely hardy. If you have the right setup, I would say these are actually hardier than cherry shrimp. And what I mean by that is these guys prefer a specific water parameter. So you have to use a buffering substrate. So if you see the substrate that these guys are on, or the soil or rock or whatever you want to call it, this is actually Brightwell Rio Oscuro, which we just call Brightwell shrimp soil. And you have to have that because it lowers the pH in the tank. So these tanks like to sit around, 6, 6.5, anywhere in the 6 range is really good. Just below 7. And cherry shrimp, or not cherry shrimp, sorry. Crystal reds need that low pH to thrive. And then also you have to use RO water with these guys and remineralize it with GH+. So that's the big thing, is you really need specific water parameters for these guys. But if you're willing to do the work and willing to set up a tank for these guys are actually much easier to keep than cherry shrimp because you don't have the parasites, you don't have the common illnesses. Like once you get these guys going, they're going to do really well. Now I just want to go through and show you just how popular these shrimp are by the amount that we keep. So I'll show you the crystals, I'll show you the cherries, and then I'll show you, well, you kind of already seen the mono shrimp, so we don't need to revisit those. But I want to show you just how many shrimp that we have to keep up with the demand, because these are just so popular. So for crystals, we have this tank right here, pretty full. We put a Q in there because it was going through quarantine. Again, we hold all shrimp for 30 days. So these guys, some of them, if you start buying them now, they've been in quarantine for 30 days. But if you don't buy them for a month, they could be quarantined for 2 months and then 3 months. So just depending on when you get them will depend on how old they are, how long they've gone through our quarantine process, which I don't even think we're selling our quarantine ones yet, just because, we still have some, like this one is out of quarantine. So we're selling out of this one before we get to this one. So anyway, we got this tank, we got 2 below it. We got this tank, 2 below it, this one, 2 above it, so that's 9. And then this tank is not crystal reds. This one is crystal reds. Got another one below it. Nope, that's black galaxies. I lied. So what is that, 9? So 10 tanks of those. And I don't think we have any on the other side, but we have this whole rack down here. So let's just check. Ooh, we do have one down here, but it's empty. This one's empty, and that one's empty. So currently we have 9 full tanks, 10 half tank kind of, but we stock these with 200 shrimp a piece. So that's, basically 2,000 crystals that we have on hand right now. So it's just crazy the amount of crystal shrimp that we do go through. But definitely a really, really popular shrimp and a really fun shrimp to try out if you're wanting to get into the Caridina side of shrimp keeping. So you guys have already seen our mono shrimp setup. We have 4 totes of these, which is 1,000 each, so about 4,000 of those guys. And crazy. Actually, you know what? I lied. We did 2,000 each. So we actually have 2, 4, 6, 8,000 of these guys. I was about to say 4,000 did not seem like a lot. And the reason we did that, and I'll get to all the cherry shrimp in a second, this row is the only row that isn't cherry shrimp. This whole side is all assorted Neocaridina because they're a pretty big seller for us as well. I didn't put them on the list only because they're assorted, so they're a mix of shrimp, so they're not one specific shrimp type. But these guys over here, we have Fantasy Blues, we have Bloody Mary, we have Carbon Really, Black Rose, and Orange Pumpkin. And those are some of our more popular ones. So like, obviously we don't have Blue Velvet over here because we don't sell as many of them. So these ones are all of our big hitters. We only keep one tank over here, or one pond over here, and then we keep the rest in the other building, kind of how you saw that 125 setup that we were just looking at for the cherry shrimp. And for cherry shrimp, we literally have this whole row, which is 5 ponds, 10 ponds, 15 ponds, and then this side we only have 2, 4 that are dedicated to it. So that's 19 ponds. We put 1,000 shrimp in each one. So what is that? 19,000 cherry shrimp. So just an absolute ton of cherry shrimp. So as far as quantity goes, I guess actually cherry shrimp would be the bigger seller. But when you think about it as far as like how much a cherry shrimp costs versus how much a mono costs, a mono is actually the better seller. So it's just really interesting. And there's only one pond over here. This one's a really cool one to show off. It doesn't have anything to do with our video, but since we're here, I just wanted to show it. Look at all these Daphnia. I would zoom in, but literally my hand is holding up the lid. But there's just, I mean, let me just set this. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. So I was able to move the lid off, but like, just look at the mass amount of Daphnia in here. It's crazy. So Mark and Stephanie take care of this. So huge shout out to them. I mean, look at it. Like, they're just everywhere. So these guys, we don't keep as pets. We actually keep these for a live food source for our nano fish. So really cool. So we converted one of the cherry shrimp ponds over to Daphnia. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do. But these guys are always really cool. And it's always good to see them just, you know, flourishing here in their tote. So a lot of fun. If you need a live nano fish, we do sell these on our website. Not a sales pitch, but just something really cool to check out. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed learning what the best selling shrimp are in 2022. I picked out the top 3, gave you a little bonus here and there. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what you see, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you'd like to see more of. And if you have any questions, always feel free to drop those. I'm more than happy to answer them. But you guys make it a great week. As always, God bless. And we'll catch you on the flip side.